Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Play the Tape. I am your host, Derek J. Fields. Full disclaimer, we are not licensed or certified or trained healthcare professionals, social workers, or drug and alcohol counselors. They will be on the show and have been on the show. But what Play the Tape is a platform of advocacy support for the community, for experience, strength, and hope, for love, faith, and recovery. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. We let you know that with people who suffer from mental health challenges and substance use recovery, where hope is possible. I said hope, but hope is possible. And I'm going to keep that in there because we all make mistakes and we just got to keep pushing through. So that's how we do it. Listen, my guest today is, listen, all my guests are my brothers and my sisters because we have a common bond, if not in mental health and substance use and recovery, or both, or have a bond in spirituality, a bond in God, a bond in Christ Jesus, a bond in recovery, a bond in hope. So I'll always introduce my guests as my brothers and my sisters because that's who we are. We have that commonality. But my brother today, we met in Texas in a very precarious way, in a organization that has its ups and downs. I learned a lot and I learned not. That's how we met. When I met this brother, I knew I liked this brother. We was cool, like from the jump. And he's just always someone that I admire and I look up to. He has a very interesting story, very compelling story. And I want to introduce my guest today, Cody J. Listen, brother, thank you for being here. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate that. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
Hey, Derek, first and foremost, man, also, I want to thank you for having me on, for thinking about me, man. And, man, I really appreciate you reaching out and, telling me what you're doing, man. I'm in support of all of that. I'm here on the front lines too, man. We're in this together. We are brothers. And I got nothing but love and respect for you, brother.
Hey, same here. Same here, brother. I'm glad you're here. I really get to, when you talk and interact with people, we're always on the go. We're always moving. So this is all my guests I'm excited about because I've only heard snippets of their story. This gets me excited because now I get to hear the meat, the potatoes, the greens, the sweet tea or whatever. I get to hear the full course, and I'm excited how your testimony is going to impact and bring hope today. So wherever you want to start, and also no censor. Not on my platform. So however you say it, however you feel it, as authentic as you want to be, floor is yours.
Let's do it, man. All right. So I kind of wanted to touch, on on my childhood trauma whenever I was growing up. I grew up in a particularly violent environment. It was me, my mother, my two sisters, and then my aunt and my cousins living with my granny in a 2-bedroom apartment out here in Houston. Not the best living situation. My uncle was an alcoholic. The guy that my mother was dating at the time, which is my sister's father, we have different fathers. He was abusive to my mother and specifically me. I'm guessing because I wasn't his kid and he whatever stuff he held in his heart, it kind of took it out on me. And I don't have any recollection of it. Not much of that early abuse, like from being like a year to 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember a little bit after that, and it really just helped, like not helped, but it caused me to live in this sense of fear and despair, and all the uncertainty. There was no real love in the house, other than the love that my mother had for me, which I'm going to give her all the love and all the respect, with what she did and what she was able to do under the circumstances she was dealt, because, she was young when she had us. And I think she was 17 when she had me. She was a teen mother and she was trying to figure out things herself. And, there's even with all that crap that happened, in those early years, the Lord's really dealt with me, and I'll get to that here in a little bit. But with forgiveness and just moving forward and not being bitter because of it. And I think that's super important to mention because I carried that with me for a long time, and I think that was a big reason for a lot of my addiction and mental health issues was because of all that. But anyway, so I witnessed my witnessed my uncle beating my aunt into a bloody pulp. She you know just the scariest things you could witness as a 5 or 6 year old.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time I was in the bathtub taking my bath, my nightly bath, and I hear this commotion out in the living room. So when I get out of my bath, I get my towel on, and then I walk out into the front living room, and he had busted open the TV with a beer bottle. He
How
was
old
beating.
how old were you at that time when this was happening?
I'd say about 5 or 6.
Okay. Okay.
5 or 6. And so I get out there, I'm just confused. The police are there. A lot of stuff had happened that I didn't get to see. I'm kind of glad I didn't get to see it at that time because I'm pretty sure some really messed up stuff happened. He was beating my aunt again, and then he was, he was really physically aggressive towards his kids. And my uncle wasn't abusive to me, but it did have an impact on me. Like I said, I would live in fear for a long time. Also, my mother had epilepsy, and so that was another thing I dealt with. I always felt like maybe she'd have a seizure and I wouldn't be there to help her. I always cried out to God, even at a young age, man, just like to
Mm-hmm.
protect my mother. I was just devastated, and she was helpless when she was in that state, and I couldn't help her in my young age. So, a lot of that, just being exposed to that kind of environment, and just the poverty, like you can't imagine, roaches everywhere, just filth. I mean, there was like 8 of us, I think, 8 or 10 of us, 8 to 10 of us in that apartment, and it's such a small quarters. Everybody was stacked up on each other, and we did the best we could with what we had, but
Right.
it wasn't much. But
Yeah.
so then in that, my cousin Michael stayed with me. And he wound up becoming my best friend as a child. We'd run around, we'd get in trouble. I think one time we even shimmied up the school across the street and got on top of the roof and had the cops called on us, and we got escorted home by the police at a young age, 5 or 6 even. And but dude, some of the as bad as it was there at times, there was some good times too. Like the camaraderie we had, and just I guess when you struggle with somebody, even when you're young, you kind of form a bond.
Right.
So, I mean, all the other kids were exposed to this as well. It wasn't just me. So it affected all of us and all of us differently. Um, so, so starting with that, I'm just really unsure of myself as a young man. Didn't have a father growing up. I didn't know who my father was. It had an effect on me for a very long time as well, and we can get into that later if you like. But so growing up later years, so my mom, that was 5 or 6. Around 7, my mother meets this guy. His name is Keith. He winds up being my stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
And Keith takes us all in. Keith's got a good job. He moves us out of the neighborhood, right? He gets us an apartment in a nicer area. There's no roaches, thank God. I hate roaches, man. I
Me
hate
too.
them, man.
I,
I
I don't
can't
like
stand
roaches.
them
I can't
things.
stand roaches. Roaches and bed bugs. Get
Oh
them
man,
out of
no.
here. Get them
Keep them
out of
away,
here.
dude.
Get them out of
Oh,
here.
ugh. But yeah, man. So he gets us a new place, and we're all adjusting, and we get there, and it's a new school, and then it's a new neighborhood after the apartment, and you're trying to find out who you are as a young man. What's your crowd? Who are you? Your identity. And for a while there, I was getting in trouble at school, and you know, I guess because there was no stability at home,
Hmm.
it was easy for me to attract the negative attention in class, specifically in fourth grade. Um, I just wasn't having it no more, man. I just didn't care at that point. And so we wound up moving from that school. And some reason I adjusted myself and my behavior. Nothing was really working. They would try to punish me and spank me, ground me. Everything they tried wasn't working. But when we moved to the new school, I guess in my young mind, I thought maybe it was a fresh start. And,
How
you
old
know,
was how old was Cody at the new school? Fresh
I was
start.
10, no, after fourth grade. So I think 11,
Okay. Okay.
11. Yeah,
Okay.
fifth grade. Yeah, I went to the new elementary school and, started, I was doing good, made good grades. Um, I always felt like an outsider though, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's my whole life, dude, because, I have a different dad than my sisters. And, even just being, I'm the only brown skinned person in my family, in my mother's side. And so I always like, you're not knowing my father, that really had an effect on me. Like, how come I look different than everybody? Like what's going on with that? People would
Right.
ask me, and I didn't know the answer to that.
Right.
And that man, that's a blow too. When you're a young kid, you don't know who your father is and where you come from, what your ethnic background is. That really had a negative effect on me. And so get through the elementary school years. Then we go to middle school. I'm still doing well, and then high school hits, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'm really finding out who I who I am, and finding the my crowd, which we're ended up being the same kind of people as me. People with unstable homes, and they were experimenting, using drugs, starting to smoke weed. And then I mean, once that door was open, man, it was all everything was just the door was wide open.
Right.
Yeah. And so I start experimenting. I started with weed like most people, and then I think it's some. You said no censor, right? So
No
I can I
censor.
can say I can say these things.
Yes.
Okay. So I started doing cocaine, and then from that time, ecstasy was a big thing, and man, I loved it. It made me feel better than I was in my regular mind state. I felt not invincible, but just I felt better about life when I
Mm-hmm.
was under the influence of something. And
Better
it's like,
about who you are. Better about who you were.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it wound up being like a party for the rest from then on until I went and went to rehab. It was like a party every day to see how far away from myself I could get. It was like something within me just didn't want to deal with what was in my mind, and then in my soul and my spirit, man. It's I would do bad things, when I was that age to get attention still. I started finding out about girls and sex, and and just giving myself away because I didn't know any better, man. I didn't know my value.
Right.
And so the drug use at an adolescent age in my teens, I wound up getting in trouble with the law. Went to juvie for a year. Um, went to a boot camp. I wound up breaking into a home and stealing a bunch of stuff and selling it so I can get some more stuff,
Mm-hmm.
some more drugs. And so I went to the boot camp for a year, and then came home and just went right back into it. There was no real change. It's like behavioral modification. It's like you're dealing with the symptoms, but not the actual issue, which
Right.
was inside of my mind and my heart.
And you would, because I can relate, and the only reason I'm saying you because I know the not fitting in, and I know how to chameleon. I know how to blend in. So while you're at the boot camp and everything, you're doing what you doing there. But
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I was the best cadet, dude.
yeah, right. But as soon as it's like,
Dude.
okay, yep, yep.
Yep.
So
Yeah. So I wasn't like a stellar cadet, dude, if you will. I was on top of everything, man. And I remember the one time I got in trouble was the day I was leaving,
mm-hmm,
and my caseworker had like fumbled some paperwork, so they couldn't let me out when they said they were. So I just refused to do everything, but that's the only issue I had. But other than that, man,
A question: when you
sure.
was a cadet at the boot camp, how old were you at that time? About 17, 18,
16, 17. Yep.
16, 17.
I turned 17 in the joint.
How long were you there?
I was there. Okay. So it's a 9-month program.
Hmm.
So I'd say a year, but 9 months.
So from that 16, 17-year old Cody J, well, at any point at that boot camp, did you feel a sense of belonging, a sense of pride, a sense of, wait a minute, maybe I've been doing this differently? Maybe there is a different way I could look at life. Did that ever hit? Because I know at 16, 17, it's hard and we trying to fan ourselves in that manhood. But in that time, did you ever feel uh uh uh, uh something better? Like maybe I am better. Maybe
Mm,
I don't. Maybe there is something else to life. Did
hmm.
that
Yeah.
happen?
That's a great question. And yes, absolutely. I did find that sense of, I felt like I was doing something for the first time, like I was accomplishing something that I got through it, even in it, just being able to do everything they asked and, being responsible for the first time in a long time, that made me feel great. I did feel like there was something more to life, um, and I made friends there. We're stuck
Hmm.
together 9 months. Of course, you're going to meet some buddies and some people that you can form a relationship with. And but yeah, it was definitely helpful. They actually brought up psychological methods of I can't think of the word, man. They did not just physical boot camp, but there was also schoolwork too.
Right. The
To
mental
where you're
aspect of it.
the mental aspect of the program, where they're letting you know that you committed a crime, but there's a reason. They called it like you have a thinking error. You where you I guess where you make a decision, but you thought you made you had the wrong thought about it.
Right.
If that
Right.
makes sense.
It does.
Um,
It does. There was
but
there was no one for you to play the tape with. Get it?
right,
So
yeah,
because
yeah,
there was no one for you to, hey, uh, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling that way. I'm not feeling good today. I don't have no one to talk to. I don't have no one to play the tape. I don't know have no one to share what's going on inside of me.
hmm,
So,
yeah. And then they did actually, they implemented group therapy where you go around in a circle, but
mhm.
I mean, we called it faking it till we made it,
Right, right,
and
right.
we did because you have to show a certain level of change before they actually discharge you.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah, so
thought it
that's
was just you complete it, but they actually have to see change in you, positive growth in you that you're learning how to
yes,
be a better person. Okay.
yeah, because there was instances where guys were, they went up to the board.
Hmm.
It was TYC, Texas Youth Commission, which is the form of juvenile prison. So you get out and you're on parole, even. So you go to the parole board, and
Hmm.
they if they don't like what they hear or what they seen on your behavioral chart, they're going to send you back for some extra time. And
Okay.
so,
So after that, you got back home and it
mm,
same behavior. How long did it take for that same behavior to start back? Because there had to be a buffer time where you just getting back
sure.
home. It's like a sense of pride, a sense of belonging, a sense of community, some buddies. It's like I don't know. So how long was that buffer zone
I
where
give it
okay, jumping back right into the activities?
I give it a couple of months. I was on my best behavior. I feel like for at least the first month for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go right back to the same school. It's like riding a bike, man, picking up where you left off. You start hanging out with the same people again, and you're making you start compromising, and the next thing you know, like you're at a party a couple of months down the line where you shouldn't be, and Yeah. And then, yeah, it was a gradual thing, you know. It wasn't instant
Okay.
getting back into the funk, you know.
Your drug use. So there's the childhood trauma of the instability, the violence, um, the sense of not knowing who I am as a person, and
Hmm.
now you have your little bit of um, criminal activities. Now you back home. How did the drug use progress from all that mental health trauma that you had, everything that you saw growing up as a child? How did that drug use progress to like your, I guess, first treatment or your first rehab, or how did you get there?
I actually didn't go to rehab until I was in 2017. I think I was 29,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say. And that was my first treatment. I'd never dealt with it, you know, up until then. And so I wound up a little bit after, you know, after 17, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I meet up with who would become my future wife, and she gets pregnant. And then, you know, um, in that time, that's a huge moment for me, that little period of time, because a lot happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, so 2009, my daughter's born. I got married, and I met my dad for the first time, my biological dad.
Wow. Okay. Hold on for a second. Listen, this is what I'm saying. This is why I say sometimes we talk off air, people, ladies and gentlemen, and it's very hard to get everything in an hour. So that's
Yeah.
why I was like, hold up, wait a minute,
Mm.
because I just couldn't skip over that. That in itself. How old were you then when you met your biological father? So you met your future wife, had your baby girl. Now I'm meeting your biological father for the first time.
Yeah.
Wow.
21.
21. What
21.
what was 21-year-old Cody J? Just met wife, just had baby girl. Now I'm meeting dad, biological dad for the first time. What was
Yes,
that
sir.
mindset? What was that?
That mindset was like, I really, and I can't leave Jesus out, because that's when I met Jesus
Abs-
too.
Absolutely not.
All in 21, man. All at 21 in 2009. That was a huge year for me. And but so that mindset was, I was thinking that I could be something better than what I've been before. You
Mm-hmm.
know, um, you know, I'd go to work and I'd still be popping pills. You know, at that point, I think I progressed to pain pills. It's always something. I never stuck with one thing. You know, I would change my drugs of choice depending on what was available. I'd take everything under the sun. Um, but at that point, you know, I was taking Adderall and I was taking pain pills, and you know, I knew that wasn't right, because I was going to be a father, and I didn't want to be an absent father. I wanted to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even as a kid, you know, even let's go back just a couple of years before, whenever
Mm-hmm.
I was in the program, in the boot camp program. You know, I heard the song Mockingbird by Eminem, and the level of love he has for his daughter. I was like, man, I long for that kind of love, you know. So when I had my daughter, man, dude, I just wanted to be the best father I could be. And it sounds bad, but I didn't really care if I was a good husband or not at that point. I just wanted to take care of my baby girl and give her everything that I didn't have from my father growing up.
Right.
But I couldn't, because I was a slave to the drug still. And so, you know, a lot of people are able to man, that's unimportant. So anyway, I'm sitting there fighting with myself, struggling, gotten married. You know, I'm doing drugs, and I just feel like completely just downtrodden. I felt like a loser, and I subscribed to that too, man. I really believed it. These lies of the enemy, you know, just
Mm-hmm.
you're no good. You don't
Mm-hmm.
matter. You know, even even thoughts of suicide. Um, that yeah, suicidal thoughts, and you know, I convinced myself that that the knife set that we got for our wedding was so I could just off myself with it,
Yeah.
and just end it all, man. You know, who wants to go through that kind of torment anymore? But But Jesus, man. Um, but
Explain
Jesus,
that. Explain that. You said that 2009 was really a year you won't forget, because not only you got married, you had your baby girl, you met your biological father. Here comes Christ Jesus
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
When did that intervention hit for Jesus?
June 6th, 2009. A little bit before my daughter was born. So I'm working at a Chili's in Southwest Houston, and peculiar guy named Clay. He was my manager. Something different about Clay, right? I saw Clay walking differently than everybody else. The Lord just kind of set everything up. He orchestrated it all. So I'm there, and I felt like everybody knew I was getting messed up. That's something,
Hmm.
that's part of the mental health too. You get a little skitzed out,
Yep.
but
Little paranoid.
little paranoid over there. So Clay didn't give me that though. Like he wasn't judgmental at all. He really wanted to just make sure I was okay.
Hmm.
And that was different for me, bro. Like nobody's ever like I've met Christians before, but like God used him in that moment, to show me His love. And so like at the restaurant I was working, I was a server. I started seeing things like Jesus stuff. People praying over their food. Um, And then, one guy came in. He didn't know me from Adam. He was sitting in my section. I think he ordered a Cobb salad, and just real boldly out of nowhere, he's like, "Young man, you need to put your faith in Jesus." Nothing, nothing had been said about Jesus this whole time. I was just giving him his food, you
Hmm.
know. And I was like, "Wow, God's real, dude. Like God really is, and He cares and He loves me. And it blew my mind. Because I thought, I'd done enough stuff in my past to rid myself of any kind of love that was available. I thought maybe it'd run out or something.
Right.
Man, so that day I was telling you about, June 6th, 2009, super hot day. It was like one of the hottest days on record in Houston, I want to say, before this last heat wave hit a couple years ago. And I went to my wife at the time was working at the golf course. She wanted a Subway sandwich. And so I got her one, got me one, and I dropped hers off at the golf course, and I started heading to work, and and then I had it on the Christian radio station. Or I was looking for God, so everything I was looking for was like God. I wanted to surround myself with things like that, and
Hmm.
I hadn't quite met him yet, but that day I did. I was in my car eating my Subway sandwich, dude, and the Spirit of the Lord really just kind of opened my eyes. And for the first time, I felt embraced by the Holy Spirit. And He said, "I love you and I accept you and you're mine." And I said, "Yes, Lord." And dude, it wasn't audible. It wasn't, you know, sparks didn't fly, but I felt like in that moment, like he just kind of, just like the Bible says, just kind of plucked me out,
Hmm.
and told me that I was set apart in His. And I didn't know what that meant, but I knew I felt loved for the first time, like authentically loved.
Right.
And
It's something about it that the earth could never. That feeling is nothing like nothing on earth could give you that feeling.
nothing,
Nothing.
bro, nothing.
Nothing.
Embraced by the Holy Spirit. And
Nothing.
yeah, bro, like, and it's like, it was like a heavenly hug, you
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
heavenly hug. Everything smelled fresher. I looked at creation. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Somebody was behind that. Jesus created everything, but I didn't learn that till a little bit later, but it was all
Right.
cool. I didn't grow up in church, but so it was all new for me. It was neat, dude. So so I cried my eyes out that morning, and I went to work, and all hell broke loose. But that's okay, man. Because I had that really helped get me through that
Hmm.
um, through that day. I think He knew that day because before then, man, it really felt like a tug of war for my soul. You know, Satan was Satan was on one side, not like on my devil on my shoulder. This was real oppression. He was like frightening me. Everything, every shadow that moved, I thought was out to kill me. Um, and you know, the Lord just pulled me out of that and said, "Nah, man, you don't have to go through that by yourself." You know, He provided that for me. And man, I really wish I could say from right there I was delivered from all drug use and the stuff like that, but that just wasn't my story. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Yes.
that just what I got saved for sure. I know
Right.
that for sure. But there was no automatic delivery from that, and I don't know why God decided to do it that way, but um, you know, that's so start going. I start going to church. My daughter's born. Um, my wife never became a believer. Still hasn't. You know, my ex now. Um, so I was doing it all by myself with the kids, and you know, I had a stepdaughter at the time with my wife at the time, and excuse me, let me get a little drink here.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. So I'm trying to do the church thing, and you know, and I just didn't feel part of that group either. I was like, man, is this high school again? You know, is this school
Right.
again? You know,
Right.
like why do I still feel like I don't belong? But I think it's just all that baggage from the past. You know, it doesn't go away. You still that stuff still happened, right? So um, I'd never, like I said, I never really dealt with it. So it still lingered, and it it really affected me, man. And my walk with God too. You know, I was started questioning, was I really saved? You know, did this happen for real? Um, but there's there's too much proof in my life that you know that I know for sure it did happen. But and then you know, a few years later, I picked up the drug that would send me to that peculiar place we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Right.
And it,
I'm
oh,
sorry, people.
methamphetamines, man.
Oh
No,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
that
just that.
devil there, man.
Yeah,
Damn.
for real. I mean, but anywho, I s- anywho, this is about you. This your time because I still don't know how to talk about that just yet. So
No, go ahead, man. I feel like it's yeah,
no,
we can.
I don't know how to talk about that because well, I've told my wife, I've told family members and close and about that peculiar place, and
Oh yeah.
that's all I'm saying. I haven't
Oh,
talked
okay.
about. Yeah, it's very. I learned some good things. I'm not gonna lie. I put it to you like this: I'm appreciative what God had to show me in that setting.
Yeah.
You know what to do and what not to do, how to be and how not to be.
Right.
And then I got to meet you, and I got to
Exactly.
meet some other good. I got to meet some good brothers in that program too. That
Some great dudes there, bro.
yeah, that I wish I could. I wish I had been able to be like you and me right now. So, but
Yeah. Yeah, same here, man. I have the same feelings towards the place too. I didn't like a lot of it, you know, but I like it like you also. You know, I was appreciative of you know just getting away from the crap, dude. Like
yeah,
all it was a safe space for me to go seek the Lord
yeah,
the way, and I saw them the way I know I needed to, not just the way they forced us to.
yeah, exactly. Same.
You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, God's not only there, guys. He's
It's
out here
not.
too. He's out here too.
He's right here, right
He's
now.
here too. We can make it. We can make it out here, baby. With
Uh,
accountability and you know, we can do this stuff, man.
yeah, absolutely. This is the hope right here. This is the positivity. I always tell people, I say, like, oh, what do you think about when you hear the word recovery? Oh, mental health and substance use. I'm like, true, but it's not just exclusively for that. Recovery is positive, forward moving change. We're talking and laughing. Laughter is recovery. If you read a good book, that's recovery. For us, people that have been in that pit, man, a shower, a good, hot, nice, warm
Woo,
shower, a good
yeah,
soak, brushing my teeth, being able to wash my clothes, being able to laugh and play with my kids. Right. Oh, I
yeah,
smell good. That's
freshness,
recovery.
baby. Yeah, that man, that's a good point, man. Yeah, I remember days where, or dare I say, weeks, where I wasn't taking care of Cody.
Yeah.
I was chasing the dragon, dude. It was, man, that ain't cool though.
Yeah.
None of,
No,
none of that's cool, bro.
no. And
But
so we got about 20 minutes. I want to get to, because that's why I want to have you back. There's so much meat. There's so much entree
yeah, man.
that I want to get into with you about some of these talking points and some of these things that you brought up. I still want to know how you felt when you met your dad for the first time. I
Oh yeah,
still there's a lot of good stuff, so I want to have you back. But while
yeah.
we got this time left, tell people how Cody J right now. How many times did you have to go to treatment? Did you like treatment? Do you even think treatment works for you? And what suggestions do you have about talking to people, talking to safe people, talking to people that you know have your best interest at heart and not holding anything down, and your recovery journey?
Man, I think treatment is amazing, man. I think it doesn't work for everybody the first, second, third, fourth time, but I think it's necessary, to find a group of your tribe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To find those folks that you can, like me and you, that can reach out, if it's not every day, every once in a while, to see how you're doing mentally. If you're doing okay. I think it's huge. Um, I don't think it's the only way, but I think it's very important. You have some kind of community that you're working with to prevent a fallout again. I think
Right.
that's
I,
and
I, I like that word fallout. Go ahead. I just like the words. I like certain
yeah.
words. Yeah.
So it's just man, for right now, my girlfriend's huge right now for me. She's never touched anything like that, and she don't know how to handle it. I guess if I were to relapse, and I don't want to go back down that road myself. And I'm just taking it one day at a time, though. I'm not out here saying I'm living perfectly.
Right.
I still struggle with thoughts. I come from a long line of mental health issues. My mother, has them, even with the seizures and stuff. It caused, different kinds of issues within herself. But um, man, really, I'm feeling good about it because this is the first time I'm a single father now, and I'm paying bills and I'm getting it done. And this feels good, man. I don't want to lose this, and that's keeping me, not keeping me from it, but it's definitely a driving force of part of my success is that responsibility that I'm not dropping the ball anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are getting to school. I'm going to work. I don't miss work now. For if I used when I was using, if I had a job, I get skitzed out and not go to work. I feel like everybody knows.
Right.
And yeah, and
How do
so
you how do you keep how do you keep what's your recovery plan mental health wise and substance use? For example, for me, I pray, I
yeah,
meditate, I keep God first. I have to keep God first. Jesus has to be my rock. I can't, I won't, I would, before I even got to the treatment, before I even met you or got to that precarious place or go to a meeting or talk to a therapist or have a group discussion.
hmm
Before all of that, God had to be like, yeah, I need to move you away from that to get you here around some people that you can learn some and educate yourself on what's going on with you. So for
hmm
Cody, what education or what tools, what did you learn at treatment? What have you learned? What has Jesus and God showed you and revealed to you about what life could be and can be under him? And again, and yeah.
yeah. So there was this point in treatment at the place we went to. It was called Ultimate Journey. They
Hmm.
UJ for short, and that was the best aspect of the program. You're in a it's a really close knit little group of guys, and you're going to war with yourself and your emotions, and you're self affirming. There was a point in time during that. There's a bunch of healing in that for me, and you know I would write letters to myself as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
as an adult, but even more so as a little boy to the grown Cody. And dude, that wrecked me, man. That wrecked me. But in the best way possible. I actually dealt with those emotions. I man, and then at the end, we had all these letters we wrote to ourselves, and then we give them to God. You
Do
know,
you still have those letters?
no, no, that
Okay.
we burned them as like
Ah,
in symbolic manner.
yeah, I got you. Yeah, yeah.
Not to say that they're not still there, but dude, um, that was the best thing. And that, and I think that after I had that, I'm not gonna say I was healed, but man, dude, there was so much healing involved in that. I mean, I mean, I can, when talking about my childhood still, dude, I still feel that pain in my chest, that sorrow, but there's that hope still, man, that Jesus said there in Revelations, there's not going to be any more crying, no
Mm-hmm.
more pain.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a day with none of that stuff. That's the hope that I hold on to, man, is knowing that there's a heaven after this, and and without Jesus, none of that even matters. Like if I go to heaven and Jesus is not there, dude, I'd be super disappointed.
Me too. I
I
would
got
be
I
too.
got to
I'm like,
be at his feet, man. I
right.
got to be at his
Absolutely.
feet.
Absolutely. Worshiping every day.
And then
Every day.
getting that real hug from him. I got a real hug here on
Yeah.
earth, but when I'm in my final form
Yeah.
and
Hey,
he just embraces me, dude, I'm just gonna, I don't know, dude, I'm gonna hit the ceiling or something. I don't know. It's not,
I
but
see that. I see that joy that you have when you talk about Christ and you talk about God, and you talk about your family. You talk about not dropping the ball, being responsible and accountable, not going back to what you used to be, and now using what the enemy was trying to using what the enemy had for bad. God turned it for good. That's what you're doing right now.
yes, sir.
So I get a question sometimes when I go speak, and people be like, "Do you regret the path that God had chosen for you?" And I tell people no, because when I was in it, I didn't know why. Now I
Yeah,
know why. I know because I had to go through it so I can help somebody else and educate them, be a support system for them, be a community for them, and let
yes,
them know not just that, but hey, I'm making it through.
it's
For
hope.
you,
Yeah,
right? It's hope for you. I want to ask you that. Do you regret your path that God had put you on to get you to this point right now?
not a bit. Not a bit, for the same exact reason. I don't know what I should try to memorize it, but the verse at the end of James, the very last verse in James, basically along the lines, and I'm probably going to chop it up a bit, but you'll get the idea. Um, Whoever calls a brother out uh, of the ways he's living covers a multitudes of sins and saves them from the fire. So being that hand that reaches back out, going back into the trenches with help, with help from him
Mm-hmm.
to help pull the next man out, dude. There's no greater honor, I don't think, than pulling a brother out the mud, like to tell them, like, and then let them know your story. I even got my uncle into a place, I helped I helped get him into a place, and he's actually working it and doing everything that the Lord has for him there, but a different place, not the
Right.
same kind of place, um, but yeah, man. And my friend, I'm not gonna put his name out there, but he was in the program that we went to, but a different campus. But I grew up with him as a friend. Him and
Mm-hmm.
his brother. Some of my closest friends growing up, And if you guys would keep him in prayer, man, his name starts with a K. We'll say K,
Let's say
and
K.
yeah, we'll just say K. And he built himself up from scratch like we have, and he ended up falling down again, man. But keep him in prayer because I know he's done it once. He can do it again, and he's going to come out stronger on the other side. And but yeah, man, just providing that source of hope and letting them know that you don't have to live like that forever. You know,
No, right. You don't.
there you can make a change. You can the whole thing can be turned upside down, like you said. God can use what the enemy had for bad for His good. So I mean that's what it is. And then this family stuff and being dad and daddy. That's there's nothing better than that, man. You
Right.
know,
I
there's not.
agree.
It's very like tiresome. I'm always tired, but I
Same. Yeah.
man, I'm so tired right now. But it's okay.
It is. Um, I wanted to take this last maybe 5 to 10 minutes. You had mentioned earlier about forgiveness and how the Holy Spirit had to come in and dwell into your temple, into your tabernacle, into your heart to before you could even progress and move forward. You have to have a spirit of forgiveness, not only for others but for yourself. Because what I was really mad at my pops. My pops is a different person now, but growing
Hmm.
up, I experienced some childhood trauma and abuse and seeing that side of it towards my mom, my brother, and myself. But my dad is a man of God now, and
Amen.
he's put the PTSD and the alcohol behind him.
Hmm.
But for it was brought to my attention at a veterans program. This lady named T. She was a tech. She was like, and no one's ever told me this or put it to me like this. She was like, you've hurt people too.
Yeah.
I was like,
Hey,
damn. I have, and I
and
had,
have
and
and have,
have,
yeah,
and have, right. And I had to
and
look at it
still
like,
might.
and still might, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to look at it like no one, because I came out of a one-on-one and I was upset, and I trusted T. She was, I like T as a tech, as a behavioral tech, and
Hmm.
no one ever put it to me like that. So I guess what I'm saying is your forgiveness, your spirit of forgiveness. How did that come about, and how do you keep it on a day to day basis with all the trauma, with all the triggers, with everything, the trials and
Hmm.
tribulations? How do you keep your spirit of forgiveness?
Oh man, just knowing the where I've been, and same thing, dude. Like knowing I've hurt people too. I've caused a lot of pain. Family members, children, ex-wife, parents. Yeah, all the above, and then remembering in the Bible what it says about forgiveness, and you know, um, and all of it, kind of just all together. Just remembering how far gone I was, and then um, knowing that the pain that they inflicted on me when I was a little kid. They probably had some form of abuse in their life growing up
Absolutely. Yep.
because hurt people, right? So,
Yep.
so, but man, we're on this healing path now, and there's no room for it, man. You can't have a bitter root and walk in love, So for me, that's me giving it to the Lord, even if it comes back up, because you can forgive somebody, I think, and then that memory is still there. It's seared in your brain. And then I feel like when it comes back up, I ask the Lord, like, hey, I feel like these roots are getting in there again. Can you help me here? And I don't want to be bitter. There's a song by Andy Mineo, I think it's called Bitter. He's a CHH artist, Christian hip hop artist, and he talks about the struggle with his dad, and um, so and it was him going back and forth with himself, warring within himself, and just him crying out to the Lord, say, Lord, I don't want to be bitter. I don't. I don't want to live like that because you can't move forward.
Yeah, I like how you said it. You can't have bitter roots and produce good fruit. You just can't.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh, you
That's
just
it
can't.
right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just can't. You can't have bitter roots and produce good fruit. It's just not going to happen. And that's what we're trying to do today. I'm with you. I that those memories are still there, but I said, God, please remove that because that is not who I'm supposed to be in you. That is not the man you want me to be. Is hold on to this bitterness and
right.
hold on to this anger and this rage because again, like God spoke to T
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "Hey, you've hurt people too." Excuse me.
Edit it out
So
if you need to.
so people, God can speak through other people. He can do anything, and you'll see, like Coach said, you'll see Jesus moving, and
Yeah,
um, and
yeah.
can
He used
receive
a
it.
donkey once, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, he can hit anybody, bro.
anybody, bro,
Yeah,
anybody. Hey, listen, before we get out of here, because you're coming back, because there's a lot of stuff that we didn't get into that I want to get into and take some deep dives, maybe on one, maybe a couple talking points, a couple topics, and let's dive deep if you're okay with that. Um,
absolutely.
give me two things you're grateful for.
My children and being free, man. Just freedom.
Awesome,
Yep, yep.
awesome,
Off the top, man. Yep.
awesome. I appreciate that, and I received that. Um, not going back, never
No,
again.
sir. No, no. That's it. I was telling. Actually, had lunch with my girlfriend's mom today, and she goes, "How do you feel about like life going forward?" And it was pertaining to my addiction. I said, "Well, I made a pact with myself, and I'm really serious about what I told myself. So, I mean, I'm not going back. You know, I can't go back.
Can't go back.
I don't
Can't.
feel like I got another run in me, brother. I don't got another run in me.
I don't either. I would lose everything. And
Everything.
when I mean everything, I don't mean materialistic. I mean I would lose everything. I would lose everything, and not the home or the cars. Or, I'm talking about the amends that I've made to
Yes, it's
people.
huge. Yeah, the
Yes,
amends, the relationships
the
that have been
relationships.
rebuilt,
Right,
restoration. Man, yeah,
right.
it's too much
That's
to lose.
That's gone because people always like, oh, I'm gonna lose. No, no, don't think about the material. Think
Yeah,
about
because
the
the
spirit.
economy can crash anytime.
Anytime. Think about the spirit, the heart, the mind,
Yeah,
the body, and the
how's
soul.
that
Think about
spirit man doing?
that. Right.
Yeah,
That loss. But listen, brother, I thank you again. I love you so much. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to get to know you a little bit better today. And
yeah, man. I appreciate you having me on, and let me tell my story or part of it at least. And yeah, I definitely want to come back on and chop it up some more and get more in depth.
yeah, absolutely. We're going to do that. Listen, man, I know you got to get going. I know you're busy. And listen, keep up the good work. Blessings to you and your family and everything that you put your hands on. Blessings from the Most High for
Yes, sir.
everything that you do, all the success that you're going to have in your life and all the success you are having right now at this moment. So I just want to tell you I love you. And
Love you
I
too, man.
until next time, hey, peace, brother.
Later, man.
Later. Listen, people, that's what we do at Play the Tape. We have in depth, meaningful conversations. Um, all things will be given unto us if we're able to receive it, if we want to receive it. I want to receive it. I hope you do too. Listen, with understanding comes peace. With peace comes love. With love comes hope. And with hope comes faith. And with that comes recovery. If no one's told you today that they love you, I love you. We love you. There are people willing to jump down in that pit with you because they know the way out. You heard what my brother said. We got to reach down and pull out the next man, the next woman, the next sister, the next brother, because that's what we do. We have to. It is our responsibility that God gave us. And I don't take it lightly. Listen, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I'm thankful for however you may be listening, however you may be tuning in. Till next time. Peace. Probably can't see my hand because of the screen.